Be happy to know Biggie is up, listening, and actively texting this program. I don't have my phone. I don't know where it is.
It's usually at your desk or in your car.
It's one or the other. And see, my wife's traveling today, too, so I need to have it on.
Oh, it's murder day.
Well, really, tomorrow is murder day. She's traveling.
Well, the travel day is today.
My wife is going, a dream come true for her. She and her cousin are going to the Murdaugh trial in South Carolina. She's been watching every second of it. She has not missed 1 second of that on Court TV.
Did you get her nails done over the weekend?
She did. She looks great. She looked great.
Get her hair fixed up.
Fresh as a daisy. And she's driving down today, and she's going to go to the sites, of where everything took place. Okay. And then...
I bet there's a line.
Probably. And then... she's going to the trial tomorrow. She will be in the courtroom. She's getting there very early.
Just waiting for general admission tickets.
Correct. And then after the trial's over, she's driving back.
Do you know, Kelly, the capacity of the courthouse?
I don't. She does say she has to get there early.
The room?
I mean, it's regular looking, courtroom. Like
100 people? 75?
That's my guess, 100 people. And so she'll be there very early along with her cousin. And she is adamant that they get up and out and going. And then tomorrow is the big day where she's in court all day. And she thinks she might see a blockbuster day of trial as the defense starts to present their witnesses. We don't know. She's more than a little excited.
You mentioned that, I guess, last week, Kelly, on the program, that she's going to go to the trial. Mm-hmm. I can't remember. It wasn't many, but we did see several people over the course of the 4 comedy shows that we did in 4 different cities, and mostly women saying, I wish I could go with her.
I know.
I'd do the same thing.
They were all.
Or I'm doing the same thing.
They were like, oh, yeah, this is what a
murder tourism.
And I said, but you understand, she's going to a murder trial. Yes.
Yes.
And they said, we've watched every second of it. And
the same way, like earbuds in, direct courtroom feed.
Yes. And when my wife originally said, I got to get down to this trial, I thought, snicker, snicker. Yeah.
Like you saying, I'll get it back in shape.
Right.
And just gone with the wind.
You just say it, you hear it, it's in one ear, not the other. Okay, right. Then she says, I've made arrangements, I've booked it. I just looked at her and said, What are you talking about? And she said, oh, yes. And I said, that's crazy. She said, is it more crazy than you going to Boston to see a Red Sox game?
Yes.
100%. Yeah, it is.
I think deep down it is.
It is. I can't say why, but it is. Yes. It is more crazy than me going.
I bought a ticket.
Right.
On a website.
Right.
You're just showing up.
You
may or may not get in.
That's right. So it's crazier in some ways, but I can't really put it into words why. And that's her dream. That's her passion. Yeah. So that's what she's doing.
Is there something else on the horizon? Another crime/trial proceeding that might get this sort of attention?
I could see her going to Idaho. I could see her going out there for that.
That. North by Northwest.
She followed that while they were looking for that crazy guy.
That's a big one.
Oh, man. When that trial... it seems open and shut, but so does this one, down in South Carolina. So.
That's the beautiful thing about America. No shortage of grisly murders to go to.
Oh, there'll be another.
You know what I mean?
There'll be another.
Always.
Of course there will be. Yeah. So anyway, Biggie's up and texting, and he says, watch the All-Star game, boring as it could be, awful. And secondly, Karl Malone is a jerk. And he's confirmed what B.B. Shea was thinking. I don't know how he knows that, but he says Karl Malone's a jerk. So that's the word in from Biggie. Good to know that he's up and watching, listening, and chiming in on things.
I've just heard rumors that he has kids that he hasn't fathered and stuff like that.
Biggie?
You mean raised?
Oh,
wait, which one?
Karl Malone.
Oh, Karl Malone.
Yeah.
The mailman.
Weird rumors like that.
I'm sorry. Well, that's a lot of NBA players, isn't it?
Yeah.
Haven't we heard that for a long time? That they just go from city to city. What are your thoughts on this? Is NBA. I hear this argued about all the time, that the players care so little about the regular season now that fans are disconnecting, and there's so much load management where they skip games that fans are really disconnecting from the NBA.
I could see it. The season's so long and the load management stuff. You travel miles to go see a player, and they may not play. And I think that kind of deters people from going and traveling to see games.
That'd really stink.
Because people really don't care about the NBA until playoff time.
Well, the players don't. I mean, they now it doesn't. You don't have to be the number one seed.
No.
You can win it from anywhere. And Like, if I were going to travel a couple hundred miles to see LeBron play and he didn't play, it would really be such a disappointment.
Absolutely.
That would really stink. But I don't see how you fix that. The players, they'll do what they want.
Yeah.
They've got enough money, and the coaches will say, well, I'm sitting them until playoff time. And I've heard it, suggested that they just cut the season from 80 games to 60 games. But they're not going to do that, because then that's money.
That's a revenue stream.
You're not going to
unless
do
they
that.
lengthen the playoffs, which is already 4 months long.
Yeah, I don't see them doing that either.
Yeah.
I think you're just you got a problem that's unfixable there.
Yeah.
That's nothing you can do. The death of Richard Belzer yesterday, we were texting about that. He was on Law and Order SVU, most known for that. He's on there 20 years as Detective Munch. I never watched that iteration of Law and Order.
Love that show.
The SVU.
I used to watch it all the time.
SVU?
Yeah, SVU specifically.
Did you watch the original?
No, never watched it. Only SVU.
Really?
Yeah.
Why don't we make a pact that you'll watch the original and I'll watch SVU?
Sounds good to me.
Because I love the original, but I always thought of the offshoots. Why? I'm not going to do them.
Is that the one with Orbach?
Yeah.
I don't know if I could do that.
What? What do you mean?
Not a big Orbach fan.
He's just my personal hero.
Sorry.
How can you not like Jerry Orbach?
He just looks weird to me. God rest his soul. But, he just looks weird to me. I can't look at him for long.
And yet you like Richard Belzer.
Belzer?
Yeah, he's all right.
You're a Belzer person.
Yeah.
He just passed over the weekend at his home in France. And according to his best friends who were there with him at the time of his death, his last words were, F-U, M-F-er. So that was it for Richard Belzer. They said that's the last thing he said. He was on 10 different shows. Homicide, Life on the Street, Law and Order, SVU were the two biggies that he was on as Detective Munch. And Chris Dimmel and I will always know him as one of the bad guys in the movie Night Shift from the early 80s with Henry Winkler.
Cold-blooded killer.
Yes, he was. That's right. He was.
And I remember seeing him, Night Shift was, 1982,
Right.
the movie?
Yeah.
And I'd seen him do stand-up before then. So when I saw him as the heavy, it was kind of a
different.
kind of a shock. But he did have that. He could easily play someone with a dark side.
No question.
Because his comedy was always a little bit on the edgy, darker side than the Steve Martins of the time, the Robin Williams of the era.
We have a little of his stand-up here.
I'm from New York. Anybody here from New York? I need a ride back. I'm going back. I live here now. I moved from New York to L.A. It's a radical difference moving from New York to L.A. First of all, you have to adjust. The LAPD are totally different from the NYPD. When I drive in L.A. now, I drive with a video camera on my shoulder. In case I get pulled over, yes, officer, what is it? Just look right in the lens. Thank you very much.
Funny now, that's what people do. They actually do start.
And the cops, too.
We record each other.
Everybody's got cameras.
Isn't that funny? That's 35-year-old comedy, and now it's like, now we're both recording each other. Exactly right. No one knew that he was sick that I knew of, so it's too bad that he passed away. And you were a big fan. He was 78. You were a big fan of Richard Belzer. The other story today that I thought was, talk about the waterworks. They've released Olivia Newton-John's last song. She did a duet of Jolene with Dolly Parton.
What?
You think I'm not
Those two together?
Those two together.
On that song?
Yeah, that's right. That's the two of them together.
It sounds a little rushed.
Yeah, well. They doubled the words.
I'm begging of you, please. Don't take my man.
ONJ and Dolly Parton together. Frantic.
Please don't take him just because you can.
Waterworks. There's video of them in the recording studio doing that together, and I love them both.
When I think I was watching some of the Daytona 500 yesterday, and some of the Super Bowl commercials showed up. During the Daytona 500, because you get a whole new set of eyeballs there for that.
Right.
And one of them was the John Travolta commercial, the one with the grease takeoff with the two dudes from Scrubs
Yes.
for T-Mobile. And what kind of, I couldn't quite put my finger on it when I first saw the commercial for the home internet, because Travolta does the tell me more line. But I think what grates on my ears is that he sings it with his his regular Travolta voice. Because Grease, he was tell me more.
Right, yeah,
they're all like these New York guys.
Right, yeah.
But now when he sings it in T-Mobile commercials, like tell me more.
Okay, so you think...
Tell me more.
Okay.
I'd like to know more about home internet.
You think that's...
It throws me because that's not, in my head, that's not Travolta. Travolta's
I see what
Pulp
you're
Fiction.
saying. I see what you're
Travolta's
saying about
Grease.
that. All right, we have it.
Home internet, what a pain in the...
Hey, neighbor!
Try T-Mobile, it sets up so fast.
It's like Wi-Fi that runs on 5G.
Home internet from T-Mobile?
Wait till you see.
Tell me more, tell me more.
It's
Tell me
not at
more.
all Danny Zuko.
It's not Zuko.
He's
Hey, tell me more, won't you?
Yeah. That's a complete difference.
I mean, Travolta to me is attitude.
He phoned it in. He didn't even. He phoned that in. You're exactly right. I mean, I hadn't noticed that, but that's because remember, I didn't watch the.
You didn't watch either.
I didn't see either.
Or the 500.
I didn't see. And you know,
Or the All-Star Game.
a lot of times, because I know we have a lot of people that love the Daytona 500. So I'll be like, oh, Joey Logano, this and that.
Yeah.
I couldn't even give up the energy.
You don't have the energy to fake it?
I can't even fake it. I didn't watch. I didn't watch 1 second of the Daytona 500, and I didn't care. I did not care about that. But a lot of people, of course, love it.
Tell me more.
And then Dave said it was an anticlimactic ending.
Well,
to the Daytona
it was.
500.
They had a wreck on the final lap. NASCAR does this overtime thing. I thought there would be more controversy about who was leading at the time of the final checkered flag, but there wasn't. I mean, Stenhouse was, I guess, a fraction of an inch in front of your boy Joey Logs.
That's my guy,
One-time guest on the show.
Logs.
He and I pumped gas together
I remember.
at a gas station.
That's he's my guy. I'm a Logs man.
Mm-hmm. But to my eye, I thought Logano's car was ahead, but
I guess
I'm not hearing or seeing anything about
Everybody says Stenhouse, and he won green, white checker.
that. Yeah. So and once there's once the final the white flag has dropped, if there's a wreck, then the field is frozen, and then that is the finishing order.
That's it. But Dave said it wasn't like a.
Yeah, they didn't race to the line.
That's unfortunate. That's what you really want. Is that race to the line always, of course. So, yeah, I thought about like watching the highlights and being like, oh,
what?
But the truth is, I didn't see it.
Yeah, and the media is playing up the fact that it was the multiple, I guess, double overtime race. They kept calling it the longest 500. I mean, there have been other races where they do green, white checker.
Well,
but not, I guess, at the Daytona 500.
And if it's the long, not including rain delays, because some of them have gone forever, right? On rain
Well,
delays?
this is the longest track.
Oh, I see what you mean. They're driving.
It's probably 515 miles.
Oh, so they went more than 500. Okay, all right. And they are saying that Ricky Stenhouse Jr. won the longest Daytona 500 of all time. The other thing, this is celebrity news now. Liam Neeson, he must be promoting something, some movie.
I think he's in a detective movie.
Okay.
He's playing like the old hard-boiled Philip Marlowe character.
I'm a big fan of Liam.
Obviously.
Neeson. I know. I love
he's
the
in
guy.
something.
I love the guy. I've seen Taken once. I've seen one.
That's all it takes.
Fantastic. I saw him in Schindler's List.
This watch.
I mean, jeez.
I could have done more.
Have I seen him in anything else other than Schindler's List and Taken?
Have you seen the movie where Steve Martin is the traveling con man religious guy?
Yes, I have. I saw that.
He's the local sheriff.
Yep.
Woefully miscast.
Yes, terrible. That is not a good movie.
Where he woos Deborah Winger away from Steve Martin.
That is not a good movie.
It is not.
I forgot.
But I've seen it way too many times.
Yep, you're right. He
was on an episode of one of the Ricky Gervais shows where he has to do improv.
Hilarious.
With Ricky Gervais that will bring tears to your eyes.
That is hilarious. He was talking on an interview recently about two things. One, the phone scene in Taken where he says, I have a particular set of skills.
I don't know who you are. I don't know what you want. If you are looking for ransom, I can tell you I don't have money. But what I do have are a very particular set of skills.
And of course, his daughter's been taken halfway around the world.
Skills that make me a nightmare for people like you.
And I love it. I mean, that's the moment when you're like, oh, man, this is going to be good. And he's good.
Yeah.
He tells his daughter, you're going to be taken.
Yeah, he does. He's very matter-of-fact with her. She's on the phone in Europe, and he's in the United States. She's, okay, you're going to be taken. And I'm going to come and find you. And she's like, what? And then immediately...
I don't remember everything you hear.
Yeah. That's a pretty rough way to, tough one for her.
They're going to kidnap you, Claire.
Yeah. And boy, they do.
They do.
They rip her right out from under the bed where she's hiding, and she's on the phone with him. What can you do? He's like, nothing. What do you expect me to do? I'm halfway around the world. Well, he just said in an interview, they said, what do you think about that Taken speech when you're doing? He said, I thought it was the corniest thing I'd ever heard in my life. And I kept telling the director, I can't give this. It's too corny. It won't work. And he said, I'm glad I'm proven
It does
wrong.
work.
It does work perfectly. He says, I was completely proven wrong, and they said just do it verbatim as we gave it. He wanted to change it and make it less cornball, and they were like, no, this is you, this is the character, this is perfect. And they did it, and he did it, and he said I was completely wrong, and glad to be proven wrong in that case.
If you were the kidnapper and you heard him say that, would you say to him, why don't you have any money?
Yeah.
Did you not? I don't have any money. Really? Not like a 401k?
Yeah,
Nothing?
can't you use these skills? You've got a particular set of skills. There's no, you'd think you could monetize that. I don't know.
I have no money whatsoever. But I'll be in France tomorrow.
So, how are you going to do that? Yeah. Well, you going to buy a ticket? How are you going to do that? You're going to come after your daughter with no money? Right. Yeah. You can't pay me anything for your daughter? No, I can't. No, there's nothing. No. But oh my God, he's so great. I love the movie.
Oh, yeah.
I've only seen the first. I'd love to see the sequels.
Don't waste your time. I think I told you during my COVID convalescence, I watched Cold. Oh, God. It was where it's basically the same guy. It's a revenge movie, but he drives a snowplow up in Colorado in the Rockies. Cold storage or something like that.
Yeah.
Appallingly bad.
Yeah. Well, he does a lot of those now. That's the character.
There's a bunch of spin-offs and taken type movies, like On the Plane.
Yes. Well,
Train.
It's the other thing he said. They asked him about spin-offs of movies and so forth. And he got into the subject of Star Wars. Apparently, Star Wars is his all-time favorite movie. But
he's in one. He's
in something. Yeah. And they said, what do you think about the Star Wars universe expanding? And he said, let's just be honest about this thing. It's diluted Star Wars. There's so much of it now.
There's so many spin-offs of Star Wars. It's diluting it to me, and it's taken away the mystery and the magic in a weird way,
I think he's right. I think there's so much of it now.